What is going on, guys? Jack here and welcome to another FM Simulate. Today we're going to be taking a look at Football Manager 2019, simulating the newly licensed Bundesliga, of course, now officially in the game. Great to see, and well, we're going to see what the game thought would happen. If you do enjoy this video, leave a like. If there's any other leagues you'd like to see simulated in FM19, leave them down in the comments. And without further ado, let's get started. So guys, here we are, the Bundesliga 2018-19, guessed or predicted or simulated by Football Manager, of course, FM's database, prized for its accuracy. Will be interesting to see come the end of the year how accurate it is compared to this. But you can see in terms of the top four, leading the way, perhaps not so surprising, Bayern Munich on 86 points as well, only 2 losses all season. They were away from home against Borussia Mönchengladbach and also Borussia Dortmund, and then they drew 5 games against Freiburg, Dortmund, Bayer, Leipzig and Hanover. Besides that, 27 wins, an 86 point total, 17 points clear of Leipzig, who finished second. Perhaps a little bit interesting to see Leipzig finishing second here. You can see that they did, of course, lose to Bayern at home. Their other games, a lot of draws by the looks of things against teams in and around them. Of course, if we look here, that second place finish is an improvement over last season in real life where they did finish 6th. So they're going to be returning to Champions League football. The other teams rounding up the top 4. Borussia Dortmund, not entirely surprising to see them there. You can see 2 points behind Leipzig at the end of the season, which is kind of interesting to see. Where did that happen? Actually, look at this. You can see here Dortmund lost 3-0 on the last game of the season. Leipzig drew. If Dortmund had beaten Borussia Mönchengladbach, they would have got second, so costing them dearly there. Elsewhere, Bayern finishing 4th. The other teams in Europe, Borussia Mönchengladbach and Freiburg. And while going down, Nuremberg and Dusseldorf. Not ideal for them. Looking at it here, Werder Bremen surviving through the playoffs, I guess. Who did they come up against? They came up against Hamburger, and as you can see here, it finished 3-2 on aggregate over 2 legs. So Werder Bremen protecting their Bundesliga status for another year. In terms of the goal scorers, you can see here, we'll go through some of the stats, player and team stats. Firstly, looking at player stats, top goal scorer in the league was Robert Lewandowski. Not entirely surprising that the leading man for Bayern, really. Elsewhere, you can see Bergstaller of Schalke actually coming second. Maybe a little bit surprising to see him there on 18 goals. Then Füllkrug of Hanover, 96 on 17. And then 2 Leipzig players sharing the spoils for 4th, Emil Forsberg and Timo Werner. 15 goals for each of them. Elsewhere, Alcacer down there. Interesting, I'm not seeing any of the Leverkusen players in the top 8 goal scorers, so I wonder if their goals are spread around as well. In terms of assists, Forsberg leading the way. 16 assists. He must have been on absolute fire this season. You can see he has got 10 Player of the Match awards. Not entirely surprising when you get 15 goals and 16 assists. In a 32-game season. That's Salah-esque numbers in terms of goals and assists per game. Elsewhere, Gondorf for Freiburg with 13 assists, followed by Marco Reus, and then Ivar Fossum, and then Thiago on 10. So, yeah, Thiago, the big creative force in this Bayern team for this season. Kind of interesting that from perhaps a slightly more defensively minded centre mid. Maybe not defensively minded, but certainly a player, known for playing deeper in a team. Anyway, let's have a look at what else we've got here. Key passes, Thiago leading the way. Goretzka, the best at hitting the target. Tackles, Jerome Boateng on 34 key tackles. Notice here that he's got 6 player of the matches. That is really impressive numbers for a centre-back. He must have had one hell of a season, a 7.62 average rating. That is only bested by Lewandowski in the season. You can see here a 7.73 for him. And Forsberg, a 7.6 average rating for him as well. So pretty impressive numbers there, it'd be fair to say. Vendel leading the way when it comes to bookings. If you've been watching our Bayer Let's Play here on the channel, that will not come as a massive surprise. He was a player who definitely liked to get into a tackle and get involved, it would be fair to say. Anyway, if we look at the team overview stats here, you can see Bayern 63 goals scored in the season, Leipzig on 60, Bayer on 57. I said that was interesting because Bayer have a lot of goals scored, but not one standout goal scorer. You can see Julian Brandt, Kevin Volland and Alario all getting in goals. And also, I guess, Kai Havertz and Leon Bailey, both with 9 and 8 goals respectively. That's pretty big chunks spread across a few different players. Other teams here, Freiburg doing well. In terms of goals conceded, you can see here Bayern leading the way again. At least in Football Manager terms, it looks like Bayern in this specific simulation just head and shoulders above the rest. You can see here 21 clean sheets they kept in 34 games, only 17 goals conceded. The next best defence was Mönchengladbach, who got 30 goals conceded, so it was a massive, massive difference between the two teams. Tackles completed, Bayern leading the way there. Average possession, 60% for Bayern is absolutely massive. Clearly dominating games for just really long spells. You can see here Dortmund then on 55 points, the next highest possession, some way off the pace there. Pass completion, Bayern leading the way ahead of Dortmund again. Just looks like Bayern just too strong in FM terms, just far, far too good. And actually, it looks like they kind of bossed everything. Anyway, we can take a look at some of the transfers that were predicted by FM over the course of the season. You can see here Bertrand Traoré brought in January by Bayern for £47 million from Lyon. Not entirely surprising to see that kind of fee commanded. Maybe interesting to see him signed in January. Another big signing was also Matthias Ginter for £32 million, but that could also rise to in excess of £45 million. Jorge Mayer joined Borussia Dortmund, and Mönchengladbach brought in Marin Pongracic. We'll go with it. This guy, actually, I've seen a few FM saves him doing pretty well. Big fee required for him, but he looks like a good little centre-back this year. In terms of other transfers of note, Plattenhardt joined Bayern for £21 million potentially. And Bamboo joined from Young Boys to go to Dortmund. Really looks like it was the Dortmund and Bayern spending spree in January. Not a whole lot of transfers happening. Alphonso Davies, of course, already agreed to sign for Bayern in real life. You can see in this specific simulation, he was loaned straight back into a different league. He's gone and played for AEK Athens, which is a little interesting for a player like him. Anyway, if we look at the overall manager movements, we can see here the teams that moved on their managers. Domenico Tedesco was relieved of his duties at the end of the season by Schalke. Elsewhere, you can see Eiltis was, he was let go in January or December time, actually, at Werder Bremen, who did get relegated. And Stuttgart, they had a poor league position and were moved on. How did they do over the course of the season? Let's have a look at past positions here. I'm guessing that Bayern were just leading the way from the beginning. Indeed, they were. Leipzig equally just always up there. Did any teams make big comebacks? Dortmund started off slow and finally got up to speed. Bayern as well, not dominant from the beginning. Stuttgart finished 13th. Wow, they were bottom of the league for the first 16 game weeks. They changed their manager and they recovered up to 13th. That's pretty impressive by Stuttgart, a team who probably shouldn't be down that low, but nevertheless, a recovery mission achieved. If we look at the season preview here, we can see the media dream 11 for the Bundesliga. We'll be interested to know, German football fans, what you make of this, but it is largely Bayern players. Perhaps not entirely surprising. The two exceptions, Emil Forsberg and also Marco Reus playing out on the left. But yeah, Traoré actually breaking in and being the kind of key right winger. You can see here in terms of the key players for all the different teams. Not massive surprises in terms of the players at the top there. And, Dortmund finishing third is a little bit of a disappointment when you look at this here. Leipzig were predicted to finish 7th. And they recovered very, very well indeed, obviously, to climb up the table and ultimately get that second place spot, which is 5-6 places above where they were predicted to be. In terms of other bits and pieces, what is there to look at? I guess we could have a look at the German Cup to see what happened there. Cologne actually won it 3-1 over Leipzig in the final. That is a little bit of a surprise. What happened to Bayern and Dortmund and co? Where are they? Looks like they went out early on. Bayern went out to Borussia Mönchengladbach. I did not see Dortmund, although I might have missed them. If you spotted them, let me know down in the comments. Answers on a postcard, please. You can see here, actually, they lost to Wolfsburg. The top goal scorer in this competition was Player. And then Timo Werner also on 5 goals as well. In terms of the Bundesliga 2, I didn't have the league loaded, but you can see the teams that have gone up. Cologne winning it. So wait, Cologne won the German Cup from the second division. I mean, fair play. Fair play. And then also this team, whose name I'm not going to get correct, so we just won't even try and say it. FCI is their new official title that I've given them. They are going to be the two teams going up according to Football Manager for the year. In terms of overall, I'm going to be honest, not entirely surprised by a lot of the stuff seen here. No major shocks in terms of teams doing particularly well. I guess Cologne winning the German Cup probably has to go down as the biggest surprise of all. Wolfsburg, though, the real big performer this season. As I said, he averaged almost a goal and an assist every game. You can see here 15 goals, 16 assists, 10 player of the matches in 32 games. Is an absolutely crazy return. Lewandowski, not entirely surprising to see him get 19 goals, although worth noting he only played 24 games as a starter and 3 games off the bench. So he was rotated around a little bit. In terms of the Champions League, Bayern actually lost the final. You can see here 1-0 to Valencia of all teams. A little bit of an underwhelming competition perhaps for the German sides then. The fact that they couldn't beat Valencia. Bayern going to be kicking themselves because they could have had a very, very good season with a double. But yeah, that's what Football Manager thinks will happen. Let me know what your thoughts are on these predictions down in the comments. I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you're new to my channel, of course, subscribe. As I said, if you've got any FM simulators you'd like to see in the future, leave them down below. And other than that, it is me, Jack, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.